Hi guys, welcome to another episode of the Bold and Different podcast brought to you by Pixels. Our last video from Duke from Keeper got a lot of views and good reviews too, And today we have another amazing person here today. His name is Charles Dairo. He's a serial entrepreneur and co-founder at Bizop. Nice to have you here, Charles. How are you doing today?
Yeah, same here, Gideon. Good to be here.
Nice. All right. So before we go into the podcast proper, I would like to sort of talk a little bit more about you and sort of learn a bit more about you, get to know your background and how that shaped into what you're doing today as a founder.
Yeah, name is Charles. I studied computer science in the university. And right after the university, I decided to start a business in website design. I built that company for about 12 years. The company is still running. We became one of the leading web development agencies in Nigeria, and it's along the line that I decided to venture into product after seeing some of the challenges with running a service business, trying to find clients every time. So I just figured, let's build a product, and then it seemed really attractive, right? And that's really what got me into like product development. And then like over time, I've had the pleasure of like trying out different ideas and seeing what works. So that's like a general background.
Nice, nice, nice. So you say you try so many ideas. I understand that a lot of founders have so many ideas they want to build because they are like problem solvers. But how are you able to sort of test these ideas if they'll be scalable or sort of validate your idea and know which one to focus on and what not to focus on?
Yeah, I learned a lot of things the hard way, through trial and error. And
Hmm.
that's why one of the things I've committed myself to is just share my learnings, right? So that even though I did not have enough, people to guide me when I started, I sort of decided to play that role for people coming after. I have tried it in different ways. So you come up with an idea, build first, and then start looking for customers. I've tried build something, launch it, and I was lucky that people were using it. I've also tried like the ideal way, which is speak to customers first, understand their pain points, understand their willingness to pay and all of that before going ahead to build something. I'm even experimenting with trying to get people to actually pay for a product before, at least for a version of a product, before we go ahead to build it. I feel like that's the ultimate form of validation, okay? Getting paying customers before you build. But I mean, it's tough to pull off. Looking to see if we're able to do that.
Nice, nice. I mean, on a Twitter handle, right? Your header sort of shows these different brands you've worked on, and ones that have closed, one that are also still running. Can you sort of talk a bit more about the ones that you sort of closed down and ones that are still running?
Yeah, so when I started delving into product,
Mm.
I got in with an experimental mindset. Like I just want to try different things. Let me learn by actually building instead of just reading, reading, and reading. Um, One of the very first ones, it was called Reservo. I had an issue at the barber shop. I was delayed for a very long time, and that said, okay, you know what? Can I build a product for barber shops that makes it easy for their customers to just book an appointment ahead and skip the delay? That was one. The product is still running, but it's not doing so well, and we might shut it down. Um, After that, I collaborated with a friend of mine. We built a sort of like a job platform, but for the entertainment industry. The platform still is running, but doesn't have good traction. And I learned in that particular scenario that I would rather build something that I have some knowledge in, or something that I am actually interested in. But it was a nice idea. I thought I saw the need for the solution, but I think it was an issue of timing, which is a major factor in success of products. I started after the appointment booking solution. I started a barber shop as a way to just validate the idea. So after I spoke with barbers and I realized that hey, a bunch of them don't care about customer experience or anything like that or technology. They don't care if customers are waiting. So I said, okay, no, can we actually run an experiment, actually create a barber shop, see if customers actually want, if customers are willing to use an app to book appointments. And we tried it out. We set up a barber shop. Very nice implementation. The execution was on point. We had customers, and they were booking through the app, right? It was completely time-based and it worked, right? And then Nigeria happened. A lot of our customers started traveling out of the country. So we ultimately shut down as well. But I learned a lot from the experience. I realized that brick and mortar is not for me. The brick and mortar business is not for me, right? But in terms of like the implementation, it also helps me really understand that I'm really good at executing ideas. Because I mean, even when we decided to shut down, lots of our customers were very unhappy because they really liked the service, they liked how we executed it, but the number of customers was dwindling, right? As more people were leaving the country because the specific types of people we built the barbershop for were the specific types of people that were leaving the country. So people in tech, working from home, and it was just after COVID. So people wanted limited interaction with other people and all of that, right? So yeah, that's that one. My wife and I built an idea called Question Wave. So as you can imagine, you go to an event, you have a question. Usually you wait till the Q&A session and then you may raise up your hand and then you're not picked. The Q&A sessions are very disorganized. It takes too long. So we said, okay, you know what if there's a way to ask your question before the event? Maybe even upvote if that question has been asked already so that you don't get to the event and someone asks the question, another person asks the same question that another person had asked and all of that. So that one, we just built it for fun. My wife is an engineer. I'm more like a design and product person. We posted it on Product Hunt. It became #2 product of the day. That was really the only marketing we did. It's still running right now and it's doing very well. Like people use it for their events. I mean, it's doing very, very well. We've just not monetized it yet, but we're very happy when we look at like traction and how it's doing, especially the fact that people are using it from different parts of the world. In fact, there are sometimes that we even understand the language that we are seeing on the app, right? But people are using it. Yeah. After that, one of my friends, a consultant, reached out about a problem that she had experienced, that she had noticed that our customers, she's a consultant, right? So a problem that a lot of our clients were facing regarding business processes and managing things and getting people to comply with company processes and all of that. So that's how we started BizUp. And we built it, launched it, started getting traction from day one. The product is evolving over time. It's getting better. We're changing some things as we better understand the needs of our customers. Yeah, that's like I may have omitted maybe one or two, but that's like an overview of some of the things I've worked on.
Nice. Actually, it seems like a very long journey of trials and errors before you got into BizUp. So do you think BizUp is like the final bus stop, or there might be some other new ideas that might come in the near future?
So one of the things I've learned is I like to try things, but not just for the sake of trying them. I wasn't building multiple things because I just felt like building multiple things. I was building multiple things because I wanted to learn and I wanted to see which would work, right? If I had gotten one that worked very well very early, I don't think I would have just done something else, right? But most of them were early stage at almost the same time. And I'm a pretty organized person. I know how to juggle things, maybe from running a web development company for 12 years. You get like you know how to do multiple things simultaneously. Yeah, so I've been able to hack it in terms of how to ensure that I'm doing multiple things in a way that none of them are affected. But one thing I know for sure is if you focus on one thing and you spend most of your time on just that one thing, you most likely will get better results than spreading yourself thin over multiple products or multiple projects. My mindset is I'm focused on BZOP, right? Most of the other things that I'm involved in do not take my time. Even the agency already has structure, already has processes thanks to BZOP. People understand what they need to do, how they need to do it. We have like a COO that manages operations. So I'm not as involved as I used to be when I started the company as a solo founder. So yeah, that's like the situation of things right now. So I mean, my recommendation is if you can focus on one thing, please do that. But if your goal is to learn, you most likely will learn by trying different things, right? Really, especially if you don't even know what you like, right? What your interests are. It's best if you try different things to kind of understand what sticks. But yeah, that's how I look at it.
Interesting. So if I'm trying so many different things, trying out with haircut, trying out with receival, and probably failing with those ones, right? How has all of these experiences, contributed to maybe BZOP's resilience?
Yeah, it's definitely contributed immensely. There are so many things that I have learned that I will not do again, right? There are things that I've learned in one product or the other that showed me that, hey, there's a much better way to actually get this done. So yeah, it's definitely, I mean, I have like lots of lessons that I've learned, even some that I've shared on Twitter, for instance. So usually when I learn a lesson, I just share it, right? So that other people can learn as well. Yeah, it's definitely been helpful.
Yeah. Nice. So then how do you deal with tough days as a founder? Because even if you've gone through so much hardships being a founder, you still get tougher days that come in, and how do you deal with tough days as a founder?
Yeah, I mean, when you've done this for like 12 years, you sort of get used to it, right? It might be a different problem. Like I don't know the particular challenge I'm going to face tomorrow, but I know that it will come and it will go, right? It will come to pass. That's how it's said, right? So just one at a time, right? Don't don't overthink it. It's part of doing business. It's part of like similar to your podcast title, it's part of being bold and different. When you're doing something different, you will face challenges that other people are not facing, right? So if you have like a support system, in my case, my wife has been very helpful. I talk to her about everything. Probably tired of hearing those challenges, but she doesn't tell me.
So our advice is to get married.
Well, for others, it might be friends, right? For others, it might just be communities where you can share what's going on in your life and those challenges. Just speak to people that at least sometimes you don't even need a solution from them. You just need someone to listen, right? And just be able to get stuff off your chest. Yeah, I found that very helpful. But generally, of course, and I pray, when I have challenges, I pray to God about it. That helps me. But generally just take things one step at a time. Don't over exaggerate the actual problem. There are some problems that look big today, but when you think about it, like, okay, 1 week from now, is this still going to be a problem? 1 year from now, is this still going to be a problem? Most times, no, right? That's kind of like how I look at it.
Nice one. Very insightful. So there's this current discourse on Twitter as regards B2B and B2C businesses, right? If you had to choose an option between running a B2B startup or a B2C startup, which would you go with and why?
Oh yeah, definitely B2B. In
Why?
Nigeria,
Okay.
definitely B2B. Yeah, because businesses have budgets. Most individuals do not. Businesses will pay you big bucks. Most individuals are hustling, right? If your solution is not directly helping people make money or directly helping them save money, you are competing with their food, right? So that's not a good place to be. But businesses understand return on investment. They understand the importance of efficiency in getting stuff done. But of course, even in Nigeria, if your B2B product is not helping them make money or save money, it's a bit tougher to sell, but you stand a better chance selling to businesses than to directly to consumers. Again, consumers are very fickle. One thing, they dump your product, move to something else, but businesses stay longer, right? In terms of like their lifetime value. So those are a few reasons, but ultimately it's about you will make more money serving businesses in Nigeria than trying to serve consumers directly.
Nice one. Nice one. So, but I think with running for like working with businesses, it's more about trust too, and of course customer service, right? But then how do you sort of build trust to the businesses you are pitching to or trying to sell to in that kind of sense?
Yeah, what has helped me is thought leadership, right? I do a lot of teaching. And it's not teaching like teaching you anything theoretical or like a school. It's just people do business with the people that they know, they like, and they trust, right? Know, like, and trust.
Yeah.
So if I write something about, maybe I do some storytelling on LinkedIn, it goes viral, someone sees it today, I do another post, they see the same name, Charles Dairo, 2 weeks from now, they see the same name, 3 weeks from now, 1 month from now, over the period of 1 year, the name Charles Dairo is no longer strange to them. They know me already. And then if I'm posting things that are helpful or things that they can connect with or things that educate them, then they start to like me even in their subconscious without putting effort into actually liking me, right? They just be like, this guy, I just like him, right? I may not have spoken with you directly, but you just like me or you like my vibe, right? So know, like, and trust. And all of that just comes, if you're not posting something that is, or you're sharing things that are actually helpful, people trust you. If you are sharing things on a particular topic. So if I'm posting about entrepreneurship or I'm posting about business processes or I'm posting about product management, over time, consistently, you just trust that this guy understands this thing, right? Whether it's something you care about or you don't care about, you just associate Charles with this topic, with that topic. Now, 1 month down the line, you now need to do business with someone. You now see that, hey, this is Charles' business. I know the guy. It just removes the risk. Like, this guy is someone I know. You get, like, I just go to the top of the list, right? Like, okay, I know this guy, he's not going to mess up, even though I've not worked with him before, but I feel like I know him, I like him, I trust him. So it definitely helps with business. And it helps with trust in answering your question. That's how I do it, by just being visible, right? And of course, when that helps to a level, right? But when it comes to actually getting paid, people need to actually see the value, right? So if with my agency, the thing that matters the most is our portfolio, right? Or the clients that we've worked with. So even if they know me, they like me, they trust me, if my work is bad, they will not say, because I like this guy, let's work with him.
Giving some
You
money.
understand? So yeah, so you need to figure out, okay, for your business, what is it that matters the most, right? And most times it's the quality of your work. People don't experience customer service until they've probably started working with you already. So what are those things that influence their buying decisions? If you understand that and you focus on that, you most likely will do well.
Nice one. So I love where you chipped in thought leadership, because I think this is one thing I've always talked to my clients about, to sort of invest in thought leaderships, right? Most of them have really great work that they're doing. They also have really nice background stories that can sort of inspire somebody, but most of them are sort of shy to sort of share this to the world, right? And also thinking back, I remembered that one of your posts actually got bees up about 50 demo requests from just one single LinkedIn post. And also, right, you also invited to US to speak on B2B SaaS products, building B2B SaaS products. How did that make you feel?
Yeah, I mean, it made me feel good, but it wasn't the very first time that
Okay.
it was the first time I was being invited to a conference in the US as a result of storytelling, but it wasn't the very first time I was getting significant results from storytelling. One of my very first experiences was when I shared about how I started the agency CK Digital. That was my very first post that went viral on LinkedIn. I mean, he also sort of went viral on Twitter as well and all of that. So I've known the importance and the effectiveness of storytelling for a while. But of course, I appreciated the fact that even outside of Nigeria, people that I had never met before also connected with the story enough to invite me to speak about B2B SaaS marketing and sales in New York.
It seems like you know the hack of virality on LinkedIn. You know the source, right? So can you share tips on good storytelling for LinkedIn?
I don't think there's a hack. That's the thing. I think it's about your willingness to share, first of all, right? Your willingness to be vulnerable, to share those things that people are not sharing. So when you're doing business, there are so many things you're experiencing in your day-to-day that the average person cannot relate with. So it's interesting for them when they have a glimpse into the life of an entrepreneur. Okay. And it's the same thing, right? There are things I don't know about the medical profession, for instance. If there is someone that is in the profession that freely shares about his or her experiences, I will find it attractive. Like, wow, this happens. Wow, this is great. Or great. Oh, wow, I can connect with this, right? So one challenge people have is, number one, thinking that their everyday lives are too boring or too normal to share our stories. But everything that we connect with on social media, everything that goes viral, there are usually things that people can relate with in one way or the other, right? They are not necessarily things that are extraordinary. It's just those ordinary things that people are like, wow, yeah, I resonate with this, right? So the willingness to share, first of all, the willingness to be vulnerable. You will share some things that might not go viral. But the more you share, the better you get at it. Then depending on the platform as well, what I've seen is that on Twitter, the shorter the better. On LinkedIn, people are a lot more open to storytelling. So you might have like 5, 6, 7 paragraphs. Keep it short. Let each statement be concise and have a point, right? Edit it, remove the things that don't matter. Don't just have a bunch of things there that are not completely necessary. Of course, there's the theoretical part or foundational part of actually storytelling. Like, okay, usually a story has a couple of parts, right? I think 3 major parts. There's the initial problem, then there's the intervention or something that happened, and then the result, right? And that works in different ways, whether it's a challenge you had with a particular customer, how you dealt with that challenge, and how the customer felt at the end. Or in the case of Bizop, this was a challenge that customers were facing with their businesses. We built Bizop, and then this is the results that customers are getting now that they're using Bizop, right? So that same framework, right? Of course, you can add other things to it, but that's like the major structure for storytelling. But at the end of the day, it's about your willingness to keep sharing, right? be vulnerable. People know when you are packaging, and people know when you are being authentic. So the more you're authentic, the more you're sharing stuff, no matter how trivial, the higher the chances that you will go viral. Yeah.
Okay, nice one. So if I were to ask you, so apart from sort of sharing thought leadership, what other strategies did you use to establish like your startup's presence in the market? Because right now, there's so many businesses out there. It's hard to stay top of mind to people in that kind of sense. So what other means did you sort of use to establish your presence in the market?
Consistency. Just keep talking about it, keep posting, keep doing it. And with consistency, you will maintain that top of mind awareness. They may not need your solution today. But 3 months down the line, when they need the solution, can they still find you? That's the question. So if you're not consistent, you probably will lose a number of opportunities.
All right. So we are sort of coming to the end of the podcast. But before I go, we would like to understand what BizUp really does and what's the value proposition for businesses.
Yeah. So, story, right? So when I started my company, CK Digital, as a solo founder, I was doing all of the work myself. I was in charge of sales, in charge of marketing, in charge of actually delivering website projects to clients, in charge of customer service, in charge of project management, everything. And that's how most businesses start. Now, it got to a point where things got very difficult because I was getting too many projects to be able to do this effectively. So I decided to start hiring people. But then I realized that even after hiring people, it then brought a different set of problems. People were not doing the work at the quality level that I wanted. They were not following the process that I had been following. I just expected them to know some things even without telling them, right? And that's what happens a lot with businesses. And you hear people saying, my people are wasteful, or my people are very inefficient, or Gen Zs are they have poor work ethics or stuff like that, right? But you did not put in any time to actually train them on your processes. How do things get done in your own company? Or then you have this situation whereby over time, maybe over the span of like 1 year, 2 years, someone gets very, very good at doing stuff in your business. And then one day they come to you and tell you that they are resigning. And then all of the knowledge, all of the understanding of your business that they have just goes away like that. So we built BizUp to solve these problems and more. So with BizUp, you can easily document all the processes in your business step by step. And now BizUp does that in a way that is very easy for members of your team to digest. So so it's different from like using Google Docs or Notion to just write things out. BizUp makes it easy to break it down step by step. Now, beyond that, you can now track progress. So I can delegate work to a new member of my team on day one. I can just delegate the entire process to them because BizUp will show them what they need to do step by step. Do this one first, you get that done. It shows you the next thing you need to do, even if you've never done that thing before. You're not overwhelmed with information or like pages that you need to read. Just focus on the first step, get that done. It shows you what the next step is that you need to do. And you as a business owner, you don't need to micromanage because it is giving you updates. Hey, Gideon just completed step 1. Gideon just completed step 2. Gideon just completed step 3. So it sort of gives you automatic updates. You don't need to keep asking Gideon, hey, Gideon, where are we on this project? Where are we on this process? Everything is automated. Then we go take it one step further where we do something called workflow automation, where if there are like 10 different people involved in a process that needs to be followed the same way every time, BizUp will automatically assign tasks to the different people when it gets to their turn to get something done. So let's say it's your hiring process that involves HR manager, involves the CEO, involves IT. BizUp will assign the individual tasks to the different people involved in the process when it's their turn, right? So all of that's what BizUp does. So everything, when you think about like business processes in terms of documenting it, training your team, delegating work to them, tracking progress, and automating the workflow. BizUp does all of that.
All right, nice one. Actually, it seems like a lot. Okay, so I think this is my penultimate question. So, what are some achievements you've or significant milestones you've crossed with BizUp so far since inception?
Yeah, I mean, the usual number of users, number of businesses that have signed up, number of countries that businesses have signed up from, currencies that we've been paid. Those are like some of the key things. I'm not going to share like specifics, but those are some things that we track. And of course, the actual usage of the product, how many processes people create, how many tasks they assign to people, how many members of the team that they bring into BizUp. Those are some things that we track. And there are many more exciting things coming.
Yeah. All right. So I just remembered something actually. So remember our very first conversation on the call? It was, so I had signed up to BizUp, right? I was sort of confused on how to do like tax management for my team, and also delegate tasks, like you said, right? And then I was trying out several softwares. I had tried out a few, and I sort of came on BizUp, but I was confused, right? And I sort of dropped off. And I think like a week later, you had called me, to assist me in that kind of sense and show me a demo. So would you really say this is something that's really important for founders to do, or maybe because I think some people see it as a waste of time and they want to focus on raising funding, or don't just focus on getting that money from the clients without even doing a demo or doing follow-up calls like what you did?
Yeah, so I know for sure that it's important for founders to do this, right? Especially when you're at the early stages, you've not nailed your ICP, your ideal customer profile. Your product is not yet fully formed. Your messaging is not crisp. So around the time you signed up, we're having people that were signing up thinking BizUp was one thing when it was not that. So they might drop off because maybe, I mean, I've had real life scenarios where people will sign up and say, then when we call them why they're not using it, they say that, oh, I thought it was an accounting software. And we're like, how? I said, where did you see accounting? But it happens a lot where people already have a preconceived notion of what your product does. And when they sign up and they realize that it's not that, we just drop off. All right. So one of the things that we do and what I encourage founders to do is call people, right? Find out, hey, what were you trying to achieve? If it's in line with what you were doing, you know that, okay, your messaging is good. If it's not in line, you know that you need to do some work on your messaging. Did you have any challenges? If they had challenges, you know that there are some things you need to improve in terms of your onboarding or in terms of your product. If nothing, then you know that, okay, you're getting a bit closer to product market fit. Things like, I mean, those are like some of the core things. Did you have any challenge? All of that. Yeah, so it's definitely something I recommend that people do. Not that you should focus solely on that and don't focus on sales or don't focus on raising money. All of that, all of those are important. You just need to know that it's important to also speak with customers. It's really, really important because it's the foundation for a lot of things that you're going to do.
Great. Nice one. So we sort of come to the end just with one question, which is an advice you'd probably give to founders sort of starting out or in their own early stages. What advice would you give them?
Where do I start from? There's so much advice that there's just so many things to say. One thing I would say is that it takes longer than you imagine. So you need to be prepared mentally, you need to be prepared financially, you need to be prepared emotionally. Those are some things, right? So a lot of things go into preparation, right? And I don't want to spend the next 10 minutes talking about that, right? But from relationships that you need to form even before you start working on your idea, money that you need to have, whether it's from investors or your own personal money, or if you are able to make from day one from customers, that's great, but you need money. In terms of things to look out for in your co-founders, and there's just so much. So just understand that it's going to take some time. You will make some mistakes. The more you learn upfront, the better, but you still can't learn everything. There's some things that you only learn when you actually start doing. And one very important thing is actually launch. A lot of people have ideas, they work on it and work on it and work on it and work on it and never launch, right? So actually launch, but speak to customers before you launch, speak to customers before you even decide on what you're going to work on. So you don't spend time and money and energy working on something that nobody wants. So those are a few things that I would say at this point.
Nice, actually. It's been very insightful hanging around with you, Charles. So we'll be in touch, right? And we'll talk very soon. So on to the next one.